I never thought a single encounter could change the way I saw myself, the way I felt, and the way I understood love. For years, I had settled into the quiet routine of life. My days were filled with responsibilities, and my nights were nothing but silence and memories of the woman I once used to be. Somewhere along the line, I had stopped feeling like a woman, desirable, vibrant, alive. That spark had dulled, buried beneath layers of duty and years that slipped away too quickly. And then he came back. My best friend's son. I had known him since he was a boy, the kind of child who would run around the living room with laughter spilling from him, who looked up at me with innocent eyes. I never, in my wildest thoughts, imagined that years later, he would return as a man, with broad shoulders, a sharp jawline, and a quiet intensity that unsettled me in ways I didn't want to admit. When I first saw him again, it was at a summer gathering my best friend hosted. I remember standing on the porch, glass of wine in hand, watching as people mingled. And then I saw him walk through the doorway. For a moment, my breath caught. He carried himself with confidence, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. He smiled, familiar, yet different, older, deeper. "Hello," he said, his voice lower than I remembered, carrying a warmth that lingered in the air between us. I smiled back, trying to steady myself. "It's been a long time." He nodded, his gaze never leaving mine. Too long. That night, I couldn't stop watching him. Every laugh, every glance, every small moment pulled at something inside me. I told myself it was nothing, just nostalgia, but my body betrayed me. My heart beat faster when he came close, when his arm brushed against mine, when his eyes lingered just a second too long. Weeks passed, and he began to visit more often. Sometimes, he'd stop by with his mother, sometimes alone. He'd find excuses to help me with little things, carrying groceries, fixing a broken drawer, or simply sitting on my porch, talking about life. I told myself it was harmless. After all, I was just his mother's friend. But deep down, I knew something was shifting between us. The way he looked at me wasn't casual. It wasn't the way a boy looked at someone older he'd known his whole life. It was the way a man looked at a woman he wanted. And what terrified me most was that I wanted him too. One evening, he came over unexpectedly. I had been cooking dinner, the house filled with the scent of spices, soft music playing in the background. When I opened the door, he was standing there, a bottle of wine in his hand, a smile tugging at his lips. "I thought you could use some company," he said. I hesitated for a moment before stepping aside. "Come in." We sat together at the table, sharing food, laughter, stories. The conversation flowed easily, but underneath it all was an unspoken tension that neither of us dared to voice. His eyes lingered on my lips when I spoke, his hand brushed mine as he passed a dish, and every accidental touch felt like fire. Later, as the night deepened, I walked him to the door. We stood there, neither of us moving, the silence thick between us. His eyes searched mine, and for the first time, I didn't look away. "You know this isn't simple," I whispered. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Nothing worth feeling ever is." Before I could think, before I could remind myself of all the reasons this was wrong, his lips were on mine. It was soft at first, hesitant, almost questioning. But when I didn't pull away, the kiss deepened, growing more urgent, more desperate. My hands found his shoulders, and for the first time in years, I felt alive. When we finally pulled apart, both of us breathless, I whispered, "We shouldn't." He touched my face gently, his thumb brushing against my cheek. "But we want to." That night changed everything. From that moment, our connection became something neither of us could ignore. He would find ways to see me, sometimes under the pretense of helping, sometimes just appearing when I least expected him. And every time, the pull between us grew stronger. We shared secret glances, lingering touches, stolen moments that left my heart racing. He made me feel like a woman again. The way he looked at me, as if I were the only one in the world. The way he listened, not just to my words, but to the spaces in between. The way he touched me, with a hunger that matched my own. But with every moment of passion came the weight of secrecy. We couldn't be seen together. We couldn't let anyone suspect. My best friend could never know. The thought of betraying her trust haunted me, but the thought of letting him go felt unbearable. There were nights when I lay awake, torn between guilt and desire. I told myself to end it, to walk away before it went too far. But then I would remember his hands, his lips, the way he whispered my name like it was a secret meant only for us, and I knew I couldn't. One evening, as we sat together in the quiet of my living room, he turned to me and said, "Do you regret this?" I looked into his eyes, seeing the vulnerability beneath his confidence. "I should," I whispered. "But I don't." He reached for my hand, holding it tightly. "Neither do I." That was the truth. No matter how complicated, no matter how forbidden, what we shared was real. It wasn't just desire. It was connection, raw and undeniable. As the weeks turned into months, our secret grew deeper. We learned to live in the shadows, cherishing the stolen hours, the whispers, the touches hidden from the world. Every time we were together, it felt like stepping into another universe, one where nothing else mattered but us. And yet, I knew it couldn't last forever. Life has a way of catching up, of forcing choices where none seem possible. But for as long as I could, I held on to him, to the way he made me feel, to the way he reminded me that I was still alive, still capable of love, still worthy of desire. He wasn't just my best friend's son anymore. He was the man who changed everything. And even if the world could never know, even if time would eventually pull us apart, I would never forget the way he looked at me, the way he made me feel, the way a forbidden connection became the most unforgettable chapter of my life. Every time we were together, it felt like stepping into another universe, one where nothing else mattered but us. And yet, I knew it couldn't last forever. Life has a way of catching up, of forcing choices where none seem possible. But for as long as I could, I held on to him, to the way he made me feel, to the way he reminded me that I was still alive, still capable of love, still worthy of desire. Sometimes, when the night was quiet and the world outside had fallen asleep, he would hold me in his arms as though he could protect me from everything, society, judgment, even time itself. In those moments, I believed we could fight the impossible, that somehow love could conquer the rules written against us. But dawn always came, and with it the reminder that what we shared lived only in shadows. Still, I wouldn't trade a single touch, a single kiss, a single whispered promise. Because even if tomorrow demanded an ending, tonight we belonged to each other. He wasn't just my best friend's son anymore. He was the man who showed me that forbidden love can sometimes feel more real than anything else.